Welcome to Live True with JT. I'm JT, and I am training to run the Grand Canyon rim to rim to rim. My goal is 16 hours. I'm here with Coach Arnie. He's training to do the Grand Canyon. He's going to do rim to rim to rim twice, back to back at the same time without sleeping. That's pretty awesome. And we thought that I wanted to get him out here today. He's one of my coaches, one of my mentors. He's been helping me along the way for the last couple years. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to get him out here to the trail. And because we wanted to put together, he's coaching me, but you know, he's gracious enough to help me with this video to offer you guys a little more, because we want to do some tips for you in getting ready for your adventure in the Grand Canyon. We're hoping this will help. So we have 5 tips. Yeah. 5 tips to help you prepare for your Grand Canyon hike. And so let's start with tip number 1. Arnie.
Tip number 1 is we're assuming that everybody here that wants to do the Grand Canyon can do the Grand Canyon.
Right. So we have some physical capability.
Yeah, we have the ability.
You don't have to be an amazing athlete now.
No, not at all.
Right?
Look at me. I'm going to be 62.
Yeah.
I'm
he
an
says
old man.
that, but he's an amazing athlete.
So the first thing is you got to know what you're going to do. So once you know what your goal is, mm-hmm. So whether it's rim to Phantom Ranch, okay. Rim to Indian Gardens, okay. Rim to rim, or rim to rim to rim, okay. Like you're doing.
And I know that everybody, or all the people that are watching, that watch my channel, I know there's each of you want to do at least one of those things, because you've told me, and that's pretty cool.
It is. And so once you know that, now we can get specific with our training. So number 1 tip is you got to know what you want to do. Okay. So what do you want to do?
A specific goal. Like my specific goal is do the rim to rim to rim in 16 hours. I have it very well defined. You have your goal very well defined.
Very well defined. Okay. And so number 2 then is now we're going to structure a training program around that. Okay. So in your case, 16 hours. So we have to be thinking in our head, in my mind, we got to do things like time on feet. And what I train people to do, like Jared, we were just talking about it, you've got to prepare to be on your feet for 16 hours, okay. Which means you've got to be able to train 7-8 hours at a time, mm-hmm. So that you can double that. If you're pretty fit, you should be able to double what you do in training in an event.
Okay.
In your training, when you're putting together a training program, you've got to work in the training so that you work up to double. Yeah. So you're able to do 7 hours, 8 hours on your feet in your training. So the training has to be specific to your event.
Okay.
So, because we were just talking about it, if somebody's backpacking down there, they're going to go in 6-mile increments. That's a little different kind of training. Okay. You're going to do 16 hours. That's a different kind of training. I'm going to do 45 hours. Different kind of training. Okay, so then we have to break it down. So our training has to be specific. I'm a big believer in doing a big event on the weekend or whenever your weekend is, so you can get out there and put the time in, and then during the week we can sprinkle in some other days that we can do some skill work.
So we're
this is just the training.
So we're talking about number 1, defining our goal. Number 2 is the training. And specifically. So training is a whole nother video or multiple videos, but the idea is that you're creating a specific training program, mm-hmm. for that specific goal. And one of these, especially if you're going to the Grand Canyon, is time on your feet. Yep. And I wanted Arnie to talk about this. We were talking about this earlier, like, okay, what are we going to say? I wanted him to touch on this time on your feet because that was a term that I heard early on several years ago. I had no idea what that meant. I thought it meant you're training. Like, are you putting time on your feet? Meaning, are you training? It's more than that. It's actually the actual time that you spend
on your feet,
doing whatever it is you're doing, hiking, whatever it is, or running, walking. Yeah. And what we're hearing here is a key point that Arnie is pointing out to us here, is that if your event is going to be 5 hours, 10 hours, whatever it is, you need to be doing at least 2/3 of that time or half of that time?
I'm a big believer that the smaller it is, then the higher percentage of that you need to do.
Okay.
So if time on feet is 10 hours, then let's push 6-7 hours.
Okay, so about half.
Or more than half.
50-60%.
If yours is 16 hours, let's get to half.
Okay, so 8.
On a regular basis. Yeah. On a regular basis, because that's important, because you should be able to double that.
Okay.
If mine is 40 to 45 hours, but
wow.
no, hold on now. That doesn't mean I'm going to go out and do 20 hours, but I am, because my big events, my rim to rims, which I'll do maybe 3 or 4 of them coming up, are going to be my 18, 19, 20-hour events. Get it?
Let's get over here just a minute.
That's going to be my...
I think we're backlit.
So that's going to be your 8-hour event is going to be my rim to rims.
Okay.
So you have to be specific to what you want to do. It's very important, because that's the time on your feet in that specific thing. And now, I'll be honest with you, the more fit you are, the less time on your feet you have to do, which means you could probably triple.
Built up that bank account.
Yes, you could triple. So if your event is 10 hours, you might get away with 3 or 4 hours.
Right. Now that is a little more advanced.
That's advanced
than what we want to get into just yet. But just keep in mind, the concept is we're going to train specifically for that activity, and time on your feet is extremely important.
Huge.
So if you were to say tip number 3, what would that be?
Tip number 3 is strength.
Strength. Okay.
Strength.
I've talked a little bit about that, but I want Arnie to talk about
That's my background.
He's a strength coach. He's a power lifter.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
To me, and I've actually done a few talks on strength-based trail running, because this is the hardest part for most runners to put their arms around, because they don't like going in the weight room.
Right.
I love going in the weight room. So over the last 5 years, let's say, I've created a whole slew of exercises that are canyon-specific exercises, because I've been down to the Grand Canyon so many times, Jared, that every time I go to a certain portion of the canyon, I go, what could I do to train to make that better? And I'll go to the gym and I'll come up with exercises, whether it be hopping, jumping, something weird.
We were talking about box jumping.
Box jumping. Today. Where does this come into play?
And you have your tire pulling.
Tire pulling.
Pretty awesome.
Or reverse tire pulling. All these things I've come up with over the years to master a certain part of the canyon. And that's just the Grand Canyon, because I'll do it for other mountains as well.
Sure.
But so that's huge. So strength training, especially when you're older, people that are 50 and 60 or even in their 40s, strength is a big part of your training, because if you're just going to try to do this running or on the trail, good luck, but there's a good chance, because 70 to 80% of runners get hurt every year.
Yeah.
So you are betting heavily that you're going to, I'm betting that I don't want you to get hurt, but the more you run, the more chances you're going to get hurt.
Yep, and I've experienced that. I've tried to run. What happens, because you get worried that you're not in good enough shape, and so you run and run. What happens is your body starts to fall apart. At least that's what happens to me. So we're talking about strength training, and I've been saying it on my videos and saying it. And Arnie's telling me today, it's like, you need to stop saying it and you need to stop doing it. Start doing it.
Start doing it.
Stop saying it.
So get in the weight room, and we'll come up with some specific exercises. And I've got stuff on YouTube, and we're going to come up with stuff for that too as well.
We will link in the description below a link to his YouTube channel where you can see some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And we will make more videos in the future about specifically what to do.
Yeah.
Today we just wanted to say, okay, here's 5 things that you need to keep in mind. If we were going to go to, we're on number 4.
Four is nutrition.
Nutrition. Okay.
Nutrition. Well, first of all, if you need to lose weight, lose weight. If you need to learn how to eat better, learn how to eat better for you. And then you got to be specific to what you're going to eat on the event. So you have to work on your nutrition, and we'll say hydration too, during the event, because Jared and I were talking about that. I've had experiences that weren't good. I think he has that too.
Yep.
But that comes when training. And if you're doing 6, 7, 8 hour events in training, guess what? You have time to work on your nutrition. And all of us know if we need to lose a little bit of weight or even gain weight to get stronger, that's something you got to work on too. And you need to get answers for that and help for that as well. And these are some of the things that we've been talking about today. So number 4 is nutrition.
Nutrition. Okay. So some of the things with nutrition, what we were talking about, Arnie was telling me this earlier, is he has everything he's going to eat, and he has it timed out. He has it by the clock. So every 20 minutes, I'm going to get some electrolytes, or every hour, I'm going to eat this many calories, and this is what I'm going to eat. And we will talk about that a little bit more in other videos. But the idea is, 1, what you're going to eat. And we're working on this. We're figuring this out while we're training. And again, we're talking about these longer event training days.
Because you got to know when your gut
how your stomach is going to respond.
When it's hot, like I would do things in the middle of the summer when it was 110 degrees out and I'm hiking, then I would eat something. to figure out, is this going to make me sick?
And what happens too is, and a lot of people don't realize this, when you're doing longer runs or hikes, your insides, the muscles inside, get tired also.
Yeah.
And that can affect the way your stomach handles what you're putting into your body. What's very strange is that you can have your most favorite food, your favorite snack, and be out on the trail, you're super tired, and that's the last thing you want to eat. So these are things that we iron out in training. We'll do other videos on nutrition specifically, but that's number 4, right?
That's number 4.
Okay, so
I was going to tell a chocolate story, but I'll leave it for later.
What's the chocolate story?
Well, one time I was coming up Bright Angel, and I was having a good time, but I wasn't really hungry for anything in my pack. But I saw somebody sitting there eating some chocolate, and I wanted just to reach over and grab it out of his hand. But I said, "No, you're good." Yeah. And I went up because for whatever reason, I wanted chocolate at that point.
Yeah, you will get weird cravings. Weird cravings. You know, I think, like, I've been thinking, I'm going to stash a cheeseburger somewhere. You know.
Hey, you never know. I had one time it was peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So who knows?
There you go.
I don't know.
That's awesome. Okay, so
number 5. Number 5 is wait a minute. We went through the event.
The event.
You got to plan. If you're not planning on the logistics, how am I going to get there? What time am I going to get there? Yep. When am I going to start? Yep. Where am I going to stay?
Time of year.
Weather. Am I going to stay at a hotel, in the park, outside the park? Is there going to be a hotel available?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what am I going to do after the event? Where am I going to eat?
Right.
What if I don't feel good? Am I going to have to stay somewhere?
What's my contingency plan?
What are my contingency plans?
One of the reasons I've planned to go in May is because that's when the North Rim opens.
Yep.
That's my bailout point. If something goes wrong, I can get myself up to that point and say, okay, I can call it, and I'll get on a ride with the shuttle and go on back to the other side. But that's just part of what Arnie's talking about here, is the logistics, and the logistics can be daunting.
They can.
It's a lot to figure out.
Well, and I've run into this too, Jared, that sometimes the logistics of going there on that day can overwhelm you to the point of draining those electrolytes out of your system, and that can cause you to cramp earlier.
Hear that, guys? Stress.
So all this work you've done, you've trained your rear end off, you've eaten stuff, you've lost weight, you've got it all nailed, and then you start freaking out on the day because your reservation didn't go, or your car got a flat tire, or your wife or husband yelled at you, or the dog, whatever. And you're freaking out because you're late, whatever it might be, and it's draining your system of energy that you're going to need for this epic event.
Right.
And so you have to prepare for all of that by being organized. And I'm not an organized guy.
Right. Neither am I. I usually rely on Carl to do all the logistics, right, Carl?
But I've had to learn. I've had to learn because when you do a solo event, you have to figure it all out yourself, and you got to know the bailout points, the contingencies, all of that. And it's super important. So that's number 5, and it probably might be the most important, is what are you going to do on that day?
Yeah. Excuse me, man. I got something in my throat. So I love what Arnie's saying here, because if you can handle as much of that and get that to point where you've got that planned out and handled, then you have a little more peace of mind.
There you go.
And then you can focus on why you're there to begin with. And there's a lot of information out there. We'll make another video about that kind of stuff. And if you can figure all that out in advance, then it's one less thing you have to worry about.
Man. It's huge.
So,
it's huge.
Hopefully we haven't overwhelmed you too much, and hopefully we haven't created more anxiety in your trip to the Grand Canyon. What we're trying to do is say, hey, these are some things that we have learned over the years, and that Arnie has learned over the years, and he's coaching people on and coaching me on to address these things over time before you get there, so that when you get there, you have a good time, it goes well, and you have the best possible chance of having an amazing adventure.
It is, and it really comes down to this: respect for the canyon.
Yeah.
If you respect it, if you respect where you're going, and appreciate the fact that it's one of the 7 wonders of the world, you'll do the training, you'll learn how to take care of your body, and you'll do some planning and be organized, so that when you go there, Jared and I were talking a little while ago. When you walk down those trails and look at those canyon walls and the beauty of it, you'll be able to appreciate it so much more than if you just were if your hair was on fire.
Right.
Because we've all been there with our hair on fire, and that's not fun.
Absolutely. So one of the other things I want to do is, talk to you about epic adventures. Arnie, he's a coach. He's been a coach for 40 years. He's done quite a bit, and he's been, again, one of my mentors and coaches for my own adventure. And he has created a company recently called Epic Adventures, specifically for, at least starting off
for the Grand Canyon.
The Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And so if you're out there saying, hey, I really want to do the Grand Canyon, but I'm not sure about putting it together for myself, Arnie has a company where he's doing that for you. So you can connect with him and go on an epic adventure with Arnie, where he will go with you, guide you, help you get prepared for it. All that stuff. Am I
everything,
leaving anything out?
From soup to nuts, the biggest thing for me, one of the reasons I did this was because I wanted people to come back.
Yeah.
I wanted you to go on your first adventure and not have to go through what I went through and learn it the hard way. Yeah. I wanted to make sure, yes, you're going to train hard. Yes, you're going to learn how to do all these things, but you're not going to have to get overwhelmed with all this other craziness, because I'm going to take care of all the craziness for you, the travel, the lodging, where you're going to eat, and then the adventure itself, because I train hard enough that whenever I go with somebody, I want them to know that no matter what happens, I'm there with them, and shoulder to shoulder, we're coming out together. Yeah. And I'm going to make sure that you're going to be safe no matter what happens, because I've been down there with some crazy stuff. Yeah. And everybody I go down there with comes out. Yeah. And that's why I want to do, because I want to be the safety net, because until you're ready to solo without a net, I want to make sure that if you have any questions, I can answer them for you, so that when you come out of there, you go, I got this, coach. Yeah. I got this, and what are we going to do next? Right. That's the main idea.
Exactly, yeah, what's next?
What's next?
So if that's interesting to you, we'll put a link in the description. We'll make, Arnie's contact information available for you. If you just want to, put this thing together, we're going to be making more videos, how-to for the Grand Canyon. It's something I've wanted to do with this channel for a very long time. I just wanted to get more experience so I could actually have some credibility. And then I thought, you know what? Why not bring in my friends, people that have been helping me, and make some videos that could just give you more value. And if you want to just put something together for yourself, we're going to have these videos coming out. You can go to Arnie's YouTube channel. He's got some videos, and you can do that. If you don't want to do that, if you want to go with an experienced guide, a professional coach who's got the experience in the canyon and who's helped other people do it, you can go on an epic adventure with Arnie.
There you go.
Sound good? Coach Arnie, right?
There you go, Coach Arnie.
Coach Arnie. All right, guys. Hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Jared. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right.
You too.